Yeah, if you don't pay it within the 6 months, you lose it. It doesn't belong to your grandmother. It didn't belong to her. She gave it to the mortgage company. So you can buy it from the mortgage company to keep it or not. And if you don't buy it, you do lose it. Period. End of story. No, there is no arrangement. No, sir. You're going to have to pay it off. Yeah. So, I turned the light off. Hold on real quick. I have no idea what you're saying. I don't know what to do. Okay, there we go. I'm coming, y'all. I'm coming. Here I come. Here I am. Here I am. Am I on? I hope so. Gosh, the lighting is terrible. I'm so sorry, y'all. The sun is trying to murder me. Okay. There we go. A little better. So, this morning, the YSL gang trial was so boring. It was literally the judge doing work on other stuff. And it made me think, they don't tell you, they don't warn you in law school that most of your job will be waiting. Welcome to law school, you're gonna be a lawyer, hurry up and wait. I swear, we wait so much as lawyers. So these men and women, these attorneys, are being paid, what, $200, $300, $400, $500 an hour to wait for the judge. But y'all are lucky you have me, because I went ahead and did the waiting for you, and now I'm ready to go live to get some coverage on this case. So, for those of you that joined me yesterday, thank you so much. I am Cadilac. I'm an attorney in Dallas, Texas, and I love following criminal trials. So, we're going to be following Young Thug together, and it starts in 13 days, and I'm still working on this technology thing. It's obviously not my strong suit. So thank you for bearing with me. I learned yesterday by going live and talking over the video that you can't hear me when a video is running. So I'm going to work on that. I'm sorry. I like to make comments and jokes at other people's expense. And you missed all of my good jokes yesterday, but hopefully the sound has worked out today so you can watch me joke and joke with me. All right, this is where we're at. We spent half a day waiting. Finally, the judge says, I'm going to do my job today. I think he was doing other work. I'm sure he was doing his job, but he's going to do the YSL trial today, and we're going to hear from this detective. So the prosecution has called this detective. Now, I do want to say one thing. These prove-ups of the witnesses that they're doing right now, I think is great, because they're dealing with all of this before that jury is seated. So when the jury is seated, it's going to go like this. Now, of course, there's going to be objections in trial that they'll have to work out, approach the bench, blah, blah, blah. But it's going to go like this as far as admitting witnesses. And that is awesome. And even though the jury doesn't know how awesome that is, and they don't know while they're appreciated that they will appreciate it, I promise you they'll appreciate it. And we as viewers will appreciate it too. So this is some detective on some gang thing. Belinda and I had him on a little bit earlier, talking about like gang school or something, and we kind of laughed because it is kind of funny to hear about that. This detective just, I'm going to rewind, because he said something about they put women here, and wherever women are, men follow. It was kind of funny. So, let's get into it, y'all. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Here we go. If we're gonna
Well, later on, Criminal Intelligence Unit.
Yes.
When you became a part of that unit with the Atlanta Police Department, had you received any specialized training in the area of criminal street gangs?
Not before that time, no.
Prior to becoming an investigator with the gang unit, had you had any exposure to gang members and alleged gang members during your time with the City of Atlanta Police Department?
Yes.
Would you explain or describe that for the court?
My beat assignment, which was Boulevard, the whole 4th Ward, it almost was like the free zone for gang members. Through Bedford Pines, Section 8 housing was provided for the females, and where the females go, usually the guys went. And so...
The females, y'all. Not women. The females. And where the females go, the guys went. This to me is so funny. The females. If I'm a juror, and I hear this man talk about the females, I'm discrediting him. You're supposed to be a detective. Like, surely you can say women, females.
So pretty much most gang members had some type of relationship with a female in that area. Over the course of being a beat officer, you would see graffiti, have interaction with different individuals, and
Have interaction with different individuals.
With different individuals that either live there, or sometimes we would have domestic disputes, different things like that. And a lot of the stuff that I learned about gangs, I didn't just learn when I became a police officer.
Where did you get your first education into the world of criminal street gang activity?
The west side of St. Louis, where I was raised.
Okay. Now, what type of, and when you say that wasn't your first exposure, what type of exposure or education did you have in gangs growing up on the west side of St. Louis?
If I'm the lawyer on the defense, I'm objecting. You growing up in St. Louis around gangs does not make you an expert on gangs at all. I'm sorry, no. I live in Dallas. There are potholes everywhere. I am not an expert on potholes. I'm an expert on having to take my wheels in to get them fixed, but I am not a pothole expert. Just because there is a lot of something around you does not make you an expert at that thing. Belinda, my coworker, her brother is like in the middle, sandwiched between two girls. He is not an expert on women. Okay? Make sure he never watches us. Poor guy.
The neighborhood that I grew up
just
was
because you're near it
gang
doesn't make you an
infested,
expert.
drug infested. And once the movie Colors came out in 88 or 89, the entire St. Louis was flooded with gangs. And so at that time I was probably 10 years old. I had to know about gangs and gang culture and what to wear and what not to wear and where to go and where not to go for survival. And so through early on, I learned what a blood, what a crip, a gangster disciple, and so forth and so on.
To me, this helps prove the defense's point. Defense is saying, like, none of these lyrics are actionable. They're just things you say when you grow up in these environments or when you're trying to sell songs out of this environment. What this man is saying is that if I'm in this environment, I need to understand it so that I can be safe and protect myself. Isn't that exactly what the defendants are doing? To me, this is not good testimony for the prosecution. Now, the jury's not here right now, so they're not hearing this. And if they've watched all this stuff leading up to it, then they're going to get kicked off the jury, so.
Learned hand signals and different things like that, a form of nonverbal communication, because somebody could be threatening your life or making a gesture towards you to put you in danger. And so these were things that I had to know for survival.
Okay. Were you ever involved in any gangs?
I played sports. My older siblings wouldn't allow me to be involved in gangs.
Okay. So when you came to Atlanta, were you at that time aware that there was any gang activity in the city of Atlanta?
Not at first. When I first got here, BMF was starting to go down.
What is BMF?
Black Mafia Family.
And when you say starting to go down, what do you mean?
I lived off Sydney Markets, and so there was a big billboard off the interstate, exit 86, and then on my way to the police academy, there was another big billboard near Turner Field that said, BMF, the world is ours. And my first night in Atlanta, I got introduced to who BMF was. I was at Club Visions, and I seen all these guys popping bottles and so forth and so on. And that's when my education on who BMF was. That was the only...
I'm sorry. Did he just say this gang had billboards? Did he just say that he drove by billboards? Is he trying to say this is a gang that has billboards? Because that's wild advertising.
Gang, pretty much, I was familiar with at first. Once I became a patrol officer, it wasn't... You had groups of guys that kind of hung out together, but it probably wasn't until 07, 08 I started seeing stuff that looked like home, gang graffiti. And knowing on what I already knew, I'm like, what is that doing here in Atlanta? I didn't think gangs wasn't prevalent in Atlanta like that.
Hold on. You mean to tell me that you lived through the 2000s and Southern rap, Southern hip hop, and you just thought Atlanta was gang free? You've never heard a 2 Chainz song? I'm so confused here. I'm so incredibly confused. Didn't Outkast, didn't some of their main hits come out by like 93? Like, I was in the suburbs. I was a young white girl in the burbs, and I knew there was gang activity in Atlanta. I don't understand. I don't. Okay. But again, I still think if I'm the defense attorney, I'm letting this dude talk. Go ahead. You're proving my point for me. Keep talking, bro. Keep going.
And you mentioned BMF. What did that stand for?
Black Mafia family.
Okay. So you mentioned in 07 and 08 you started to see things that looked like home.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you working during that time?
Zone 5, Atlanta Police Department.
Okay. Did you have responsibility for investigating any of that activity, or did you just observe it?
For myself, I was fascinated with it myself. And so I wanted to know if it was real or not, because Atlanta wasn't viewed as a gang city. And so I started doing my own kind of homework and getting to educate myself. I had an interaction with an individual who enlightened me about a gang operating within my beat, Bird Gang. And as he enlightened me on Bird Gang, he would give he basically was in custody, and as we talked, he would give a nickname, and I basically created a beat book identifying individuals that was associated with this specific gang. That became my everyday. When I would go on a call or other people would have interaction with them, I basically cataloged them long before I even knew about a gang unit or anything.
Okay, so maybe he is a bit of a gang expert as it pertains to Atlanta, as it pertains to that section of Atlanta, because it does sound like he was embedded. He wrote, he took copious notes. So, it does sound like he knows about Atlanta gangs, though I don't think his childhood contributed much to that. And I don't understand this prosecution. This prosecution makes decisions that I don't understand all the time. Listen, if y'all are looking for a YouTuber that loves the government and is pro-prosecution, you could just switch. Just go on. Just move along. Because I am not that one. I do not love the government. I am anti-government, and I'm going to give them the hardest time possible. So I will err on the side of not liking what they do. So you need to know that I'm always going to err on the side of not liking the government. So if you're watching this with me, you're like, well, why is she always so mean to the prosecution? It's because they're the government. Because their paycheck is paid by the government. It's signed by someone who is a government official, and that therefore immediately makes them, in my mind, untrustworthy. So let's skip ahead. We got some on this guy, blah, blah, blah.
That they have anything that we gather or anything that we produce, we have to go before a judge to swear out warrants, search warrants, affidavits, and so forth. So any information that we present, we have to be able to back it up with probable cause facts to be able to stand by the information that we're providing.
So, to become a criminal street
Okay, so the defense is cross-examining now.
gang, is it just the commission of, was it 2 or more prior acts on or after a date in 2015, or is there more to it than that?
It's much more than that.
Okay, could you tell me some of the other factors?
If you're coming across people that have life-like characteristics that are participating in a crime, say for example, we carjack somebody, say for example, we shoot somebody, say for example, we sell drugs together, we will then determine what is the like characteristics. And so for example, the 6 identifying factors to identify them, what do they have in common? Oh, they're calling themselves the Boy Scouts. Okay, what do the Boy Scouts, what are their monikers? What do they wear? How do they operate? Do you have traditional gangs? Traditional gangs usually have more
We have a First Amendment right to associate with whoever we want to. We have a First Amendment right to gather in crowds. We have a First Amendment right to create rap lyrics. This makes me sick, but you pay attention. This man is saying, we will decide you're in a gang based on who you're around. Now, if you're young and your parents tell you like who you're around is an important thing and factor, this is a great example why. Also they say you want to be around people who you want to be like, because you're going to be like the people you're around. This is an excellent example of why you need to be very choosy about the people you hang out with. You don't see the guys on Wall Street who are all working together to orchestrate a crime going down for these RICO charges. Like, you don't see that. You see people are physically outside associating with each other. Physically associating with each other outside visibly. So it's so scary because we have a right to assemble. And literally, this is a government actor telling you that they use your assembly and who you assemble with against you in prosecution. And that should make all of us sick as Americans.
Structure. They have a hierarchy. Hybrid gangs are pretty much more dangerous because they have no rules or allegiance to anything. And so they pretty much take upon whatever they want to. Fam America, for example, here in Atlanta, they wore American flags. They were red, white, and blue. So they pretty much didn't stick to the same structure that Bloods and Crips did. And so that makes them a little more harder to identify, because just because somebody's wearing an American flag, you're like, okay, is that illegal? No. But then when you see that become the color and the monikers for this gang, then things start to make sense in that.
Oh, but you're wearing an American flag and you're hanging out with someone who's wearing an American flag, and they're hanging out with someone who's wearing an American flag, and that's what people in that gang do. So obviously you're in that gang. It's not the 4th of July. Do you see the slippery slope, folks? Like, this is why it is so important for us to vote right here. This is why it is so important for us to be hyper vigilant about our rights and about other people being prosecuted. You know, a lot of people, well, I'm not worried about that. I don't commit crimes. Sure, until you're hanging out with an American flag on and other people an American flag on, and this guy is on duty and he arrests all of you because he decides you're in a gang.
That specific area. So all those different factors, it's not just a standalone thing. I think that some people think as a gang detective, we just gang. And that's a kind of insult to what we do, because a lot of work truly goes into what we do. Listening to people.
I swear, he just said it's so hard to stereotype. Like, he just cried about stereotyping. Oh no, we don't just decide they're in a gang. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it. There is not hard work when it comes to stereotyping. It is not hard to stereotype people and to see someone with a face tattoo and decide they're in a gang. That is not hard work. I'm sorry, no. I'm not buying it. Get out of here. Where?
Reading social media.
No, they have to
jail
read?
calls.
No! They read? What?
Interviews, all these different things are, I think Mr. Steele asked something earlier. I don't even know how many man hours went into this investigation and how many interviews I've sat through with different individuals about this case to help garner the opinions and different warrants and different things that we had to do throughout this investigation.
All I hear right now, is ching, 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 tax dollars, tax dollars, tax dollars. Just tax dollars going down the toilet. The man hours they put in to complete this investigation, y'all. What he's saying is the man hours they put in to create a crime to prosecute these people with. It makes me sick. Hold on, I'm literally ill. Okay. Whew. Our tax okay. I'm sorry. It's the government, y'all. Let's get some non-government people on the stand so I don't have to become ill.
Okay, so you talked about one of the sources of your information in these gang investigations is interviews of different people. And in this case, in the discovery, there's taped interviews of certain alleged members and other witnesses. You would agree? Okay.
Yes.
What I want to know, and you know who KC is, correct?
I do.
Okay. Are there any interviews that took place with Casey? You said that sometimes when you meet people in the community, it's not under a typical Miranda situation. It's not recorded. Were there any other interviews with Casey that you took part in as part of this investigation that were not in the typical Miranda situation?
Basically, what you're asking
Your
is
Honor,
all.
I'm going to object to the relevance to this hearing.
Source of his information
Relevance to this hearing. Okay.
to lay a foundation for his opinions as an.
Also, if the dude is doing interviews and the interviews are a source of information, the interview is hearsay. So he's going to come back and relay hearsay. This is important. I'm telling you these objections. Look, I can't get mad because it is our job to object. Like, it's our job to preserve error. It's just that I am personally biased against the government. And so I just hear a stupid objection and how dare they spend my money in such a manner. All right, so this guy's going, Steele's going to go in, everyone's going to go in, and eventually the judge
Somehow suggests that
the judge is going to let everything in. He hasn't like excluded anything that I know of. Let's just see if we, or if he'll make a decision today. Because one thing I noticed is that this judge seems to really put his decisions on for days at a time. Oh, here, let's see if he starts to talk.
And the state's proffered expert, and that would be the former detective Ty Dennis, retired detective Ty Dennis. The state's request that the court declare Detective Dennis as an expert in the following areas. Those aforementioned cases. In the 11th Circuit in United States versus Fraser, 387 F. 3rd, 1244, 11th Circuit, 2004, explains that a witness qualified as an expert may testify in the form of an opinion as permitted in OCGA 24-7-702 if that testimony is based on sufficient facts or data, the testimony is a product of reliable principles and methods, and the witnesses apply the principles and methods reliably to the facts of the case, and that is Fraser at 1259.
I've used that case before.
This court must perform a gatekeeping function concerning the admission of expert scientific and technical evidence. To determine whether expert testimony is admissible, this court must consider three factors. As an investigator in this area, including those particular items that he's testified to as well.
What did I say? What did I say? He's going to let him be an expert. This judge is. The judge and the prosecution, their paycheck is signed by the same person, the government. They're on the same team. The judge is supposed to be a neutral third party, yes. Most judges are pretty good at being pretty neutral, but ultimately they are the government. You know, you can't fully detach. So thanks for joining me today. I think we had a little technology issue at the beginning, but that's okay. We'll see. We have 13 more days to figure this tech out. And make sure you hit like and subscribe and you come chat with me.